Welcome to www.happynumbers.org. Today's lesson is multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. In the last lesson we did multiplying a monomial by a monomial. Now we're doing a polynomial. So a quick review here. Algebraic expressions, polynomial, poly means more than one. Now in algebraic expressions we can have a monomial, and a monomial is one. This is a monomial. One term has a coefficient and a variable usually, one term. We have a binomial. Now bi means two, like bicycle. This would be a binomial right here. And we have trinomials also, which would be three terms. And binomials and trinomials and terms with more than one, algebraic expressions with more than one term are called polynomials. So we're going to be multiplying polynomials by a monomial. So here we have a polynomial, has two terms, 2x squared plus 4 times the monomial 3x. Well, in this case, one way we can do this, we can rewrite the problem, 2x squared plus 4 times 3x. We can make it like a multiplication problem. And then all we do, it's very simple, we multiply the coefficients. 3 times 4 is 12. So this would be 12x. And then we multiply this coefficient. 3 times 2 is 6. And we have x to the first and x to the second would give me x to the third. Oh, by the way, this would be a plus 12. So our answer is 6x to the third plus 12x. Again, we multiply the coefficients and use the variable. Positive 3 times 4 is positive 12x. And then we multiply 3x times 2x. 3 times 2 is 6. I'm sorry, and then x to the first and x to the second gives me x to the third. So let's take a look at another one here. And again, remember that polynomial means more than one. Now another way we can write the problem is like this. 3 times 7x plus 4. We have a binomial here, or polynomial, more than one, and a monomial with no variable here. Well, we simply multiply our coefficient. Positive 3 times 7 gives me 21x. Since there is no variable, we just use that x. And then coefficient times coefficient. Positive 3 times positive 4 gives me positive 12, and there is no variable involved. So that's our answer for that one. Let's take a look at one that looks like this. Again, this is an easy type of problem. Let's take 2 times 5y squared plus 9y. Again, we multiply coefficient times this, and then the coefficient times that. So 2 times 5, they're both positive, so that's 10. And we just use the y squared because there is no variable here. And 2 times 9, positive 18. And we use the y, so it's the y because there is no variable there. So our answer is 10y squared plus 18y. Excellent. Let's take a look at this kind of a problem. Let's take a look at 3y times a trinomial, 5y squared plus 7y minus 6. So now I have a monomial and a trinomial here. But our process is the same. Multiply the coefficient. 3 times 5 is 15. Y to the first, y to the second gives me y to the third. 3 times a positive 7 gives me positive 21. Whoops, my bad. Positive 21. Y to the first, y to the first gives me y to the second. 3 times negative 6 gives me negative 18. Y to the first and no variable there, so it's y. So we have 15y to the third plus 21y squared minus 18y. Okay, now it's time for you to work at a couple of problems here. Let's put this one up. 2w times minus 2w squared plus 5w minus 3. All right, well, you work this one. Put your video or DVD on pause, work this problem, and then turn it back on again, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay. We multiply our coefficients. Positive 2 times negative 2 gives me negative 4. Y to the first, y to the second gives me, w to the first, w to the second gives me w to the third. 2 times positive 5 gives me positive 10. W to the first, w to the first gives me w to the second. And then 2 times negative 3 gives me negative 6. W to the first, no w, so it's just w. Very good. Okay. Now I'm going to give you several problems and let you work them. Again, remember our algebraic expressions, polynomials are expressions that have more than one term in them. We have monomial, binomial, and trinomial. Binomial and trinomial are considered polynomials because they have more than one term. So I'm going to erase this so I can put some problems up for you. All right, let's try this. That's your first one, and your second one. Okay, so put your video or DVD on pause, work these two problems, and then we'll take a look at them. Okay, let's see. All right, in the first one, we multiply the coefficients. Positive 5, positive 2 gives me positive 10. Y to the first, y to the second gives me y to the third. Positive 5 times negative 4 gives me negative 20. Y to the first, y to the first, y to the second. 5 times 2, both positive, gives me 10. Whoops. Y to the first, no variable there, so it's just y. So 10y to the third minus 20y to the second, or y squared, plus 10y. Take a look here. Negative 2 times negative 5, well, that'll give me a positive 10. Y to the first, y to the second gives me y to the third. Negative 2 times negative 3 gives me positive 6. Y to the first, y to the first, y to the second. Negative 2 times positive 4 gives me negative 8. Y to the first, no y, so I just have y there. Well, that's our skill set. That's all there is to multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. You multiply every term in the polynomial by the monomial. So I multiply this term, and this term by this. If I were working with a binomial, let's suppose this is a binomial because there's only two expressions, two terms here. And I still, the same process, I multiply every term in the binomial by this. Multiply like that and like that. Well, good. Thank you very much. Appreciate your attention. And we'll see you next time.